Queer Talk. We're live.
Good morning. What are you getting? Okay. What was that?
Just a dance.
A dance.
What's up, Josh?
This is yours.
Good morning.
This is
Good
mine.
morning.
This is mine. Okay. Morning.
Hey guys. What's up?
I thought that was a question.
What's up, Tony, Josh, Christina, Cody? What's up, Cody? Looking forward to our call, my friend. This is the pre-show, if you don't know. We always do a pre-show and a post-show before the show.
Check. Let's hustle, though, on this pre-show.
All right. Yep, we got a call at 7:45.
All
right.
That was unpleasant.
What?
You hitting my back.
Oh, sorry. Your spine. What's up, Kenan?
Oh, Kenan.
Love you, brother. What's up, Josh?
Kenan, you should be busy.
Let's go.
This is my microphone. This is not my microphone. All right, check.
Check, test. Okay.
There we go. You're significantly
Good morning,
louder,
Christina.
but whatever. Okay, here we go.
Okay, ready? Record.
Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, and today is day 59 of the 100 days of Q&A, and we're going to be talking about rigid in-laws, ADHD partner, ooh, that's a good one, healing from childhood trauma, and parenting tweens.
If you're new here, welcome. We have over 270 shows at this point about all things marriage and family related because we love you and we're here for you and we've been through lots of stuff, and Seth is a therapist. So thank you for joining us. And as always, our show is brought to you by Audible. Visit audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get a free audiobook on us. And we highly suggest that you do that. We use Audible to learn about everything all the time. So check it out.
We're jamming. I'm reading Think and Grow Rich for the 18th time now, and it's so good and
I'm reading a book called The Explosive Child, and it's amazing. Like life-changing education.
Yeah.
Before we do our review of the day, which we normally do, I am going to do... Hold on, my microphone's too low. There we go. Good Lord. Before we do our review of the day, I'm going to say something I'm thankful for, and I want you to do that too, and I want y'all to do that with your partners.
Are we bringing this back?
Yeah, but just a quick one.
Okay.
So I'm thankful because last night, our son is trying out some new things, and something he tried yesterday, a medication that he tried, kept him up till 1:30 in the morning, which we weren't anticipating. And you sat with it. I didn't even know, but you laid with him the whole time while he was up and couldn't sleep. And I was sleeping. So thank you. I'm very thankful that you took the time to do that. So
you're welcome.
Make it snappy.
You didn't tell me that I was supposed to be thankful for something.
You don't need to say on this today.
I'm thankful that you have started a kind of organization to-do list for me. And it's not like a honeydew thing because that's not how we work really. But it's more of a, okay, this is our goal, our shared goal together. And you are helping me organize things in my brain. And that's very helpful because I am an ADHD person.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm a person with ADHD.
Yeah.
Whatever. Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Review of the day. Ryan Anthony Ford. 5 stars. Thank you, brother. This is the only podcast I've found, and that the content is so real, so down to earth, truly raw. I'm hooked.
Thank you for that review.
We're like drugs.
We're okay. So let's jump right into the questions. Does anyone have any advice or tips on overcoming childhood trauma? Podcasts, books, etc. Thank you.
Yes, I do. So I don't know the degree of trauma. Obviously, there's a zillion different degrees. There's different levels. When did it happen? There are so many resources out there. One of my favorite things that I've done personally, and I like to recommend things that I've done or content that I've come across, is EMDR therapy. And that means eye movement and EMDR. Eye movement desensitization. Reprocessing. I don't know why. But anyway, that's a process where it actually changes the neural pathways in your brain. So these are the trauma neural pathways. You go through EMDR and do a bunch of exercises and go really super deep, and that changes the pathways, and it actually allows you to move forward. There's a great book called The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. It's really thick and kind of a heady read, but it's really good. Let's see, The Therapist Uncensored podcast. I would say childhood trauma, it's not going to go away, and the only way out is through.
On its own. It's not going to go away on its own.
On its own, so it has to be processed. It has to be dealt with. It has to be gone through, absolutely. And I highly suggest that you go see a qualified licensed therapist to deal with that.
I would also suggest any book from Mel Robbins. I mean, they're pretty intense. She's like cusses like a sailor. But her books, she talks a lot about that kind of, well, not a lot, but there is childhood trauma stuff sort of woven into her books, and she's amazing. She's phenomenal. So anything by Mel Robbins. But thank you for the question, and I hope that is helpful. That even, I mean, the question wasn't very long, so we're just trying to give the most general, broad stroke advice we can.
And again, go slow. It's not, childhood trauma has nothing to do with you. You're not guilty. Someone did something that they shouldn't have done, hurt you with words or physically or anyway, and you're not to blame on that. Yeah. And you're not alone. Either.
And I had hold really quick, an analogy that came to my head is like, a lot of times people think therapy is like a light switch, like it's either on or off. You just push the button and then it changes everything. You're rewiring your entire home. Like, you're tearing out old stuff and replacing all of the like everything, all the electrical in a house. That is what it's like. The process, it matters. The process is not unimportant. It is the most important part. So rewire it all. Anyway, go ahead.
So this is a long one. So super long, heads up. My husband made an interesting comment the other day that I would love some feedback on. We're talking about why I was starting to get anxious about something, and when I mentioned that our history tells me that I can't ask for what I need, he responded wondering how long I was going to hold on to the past. I did note that 1 or 2 instances of change don't make up for the 6 years of hurt we have experienced. This is a calm, measured conversation, which is very new to us. So my question more broadly is, what is the balance of letting go of the past versus being shown that someone else's behavior is changing? More specifically, I've spent 6 years managing our household, kids, marriage, finances on my own. I work outside the home, but less hours than my husband. My husband, by his own admission, has not wanted to put time or effort into our relationship and feel that he doesn't have enough time alone. 3 to 4 weeknights and 1 weekend day, generally. He often blamed me for why he was pulling away, because I'd hit a breaking point every 4 to 6 months and yell at him for leaving me to do this alone. I don't want to hold on to the past, but also feel like I can change the patterns of behavior I developed in the last 6 years overnight, because he on a few occasions has shown me that it would be okay to ask him for help or express that I miss him and would like to spend time with him. In the recent past, this would have resulted in him retreating into the garage or getting frustrated and refusing to answer me. Side note, he has ADHD, and I would love to hear how you and Seth manage this. If you are comfortable sharing, interested to hear. So I don't think this is about ADHD. This is about a pursue, distance, dynamic kind of thing. Don't you think?
Sure. I think ADHD does play a part in it. Because I think there's an element of like presence that, well, it's like anxiety too, is a little bit what I'm vibing. Because I think there's an element of inability to be present that you sometimes have, that I think is related to your ADD. Like you are perpetually looking for tasks or things or something, a distraction essentially. And I've been talking with my friend about this because our son is probably ADD, and so one of the things that we talk about in that Explosive Child book is the inability for people with ADD to soothe themselves. Like that skill is completely lacking, which you wouldn't think that mattered. But if you can't soothe yourself, you can't stay in one spot because you feel like getting up is the thing that's going to help you out. You feel like leaving, going, being away, doing something different. So it's this perpetual cycle of something else is going to make it better, but not this. Right? So I do think that it's, I think ADD is a part of it.
Right. Well, so the thing that jumped out to me is he has often, let's see.
What?
Sorry for the dead air here. I can't find it. By his own admission, he said that he doesn't want to like change or help out, and I'm like, okay, what is? I'm wondering what that is, and that's not because a person has ADHD. Maybe there is some anxiety there, like how invested in the relationship is he? And okay, sometimes, oh sure, we're invested, but on a very surface level, and like,
as long as things are easy.
You mean invested? Like I have to go all in. This is going to be hard. It's also going to be glorious, but I have to deal with this uncomfortableness and dealing with ADHD. I think you made a good point. It's like, okay, let's have something. Let's have a project. Let's go here. Let's do this. Let's go.
And ADHD. And again, I am not a therapist. I have experienced some things and talked to people, but. One of the things also that my friend was saying is that ADD often leads to anxiety because not being able to feel calm makes you feel anxious, right? So I feel like he's sensing that kind of, or not sensing, he's projecting that kind of like, well, I don't even know what to do, and I'm just going to go leave, and everything, like, so this like cycle of like, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. Oh, so here's a really good insight that I just had. So and this is happened to us sometimes, right? So if I feel, or if a partner feels like I can't relax, I just can't sit down, let's always be doing stuff. So at the point when I want to settle down and I want to be present with you, and sometimes the things that you want to do are making me not be able to
relax,
sit and be present. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, my husband's here. Let's talk. Let's chat.
Yeah.
What do you think? You always ask me what I'm thinking about. I'm like, literally, I'm not thinking about anything. I just want to sit here, you know? But it always feels like a task or something. Like, and you've seen this a million times with me. I'm like, and I don't verbalize this, but how about this? I'm verbalizing it now. I just want to sit. I just want to like touch your hand and not really talk about the show, not talk about tasks, not talk about the kids, not talk about money, but just sit and relate. We even said last night, I'm like, we suck at this, right? We have to have more intentional time there. So maybe this is what is going on. And the wife, or you, is unintentionally, unknowingly putting that, oh, well, let's talk. We're here. Let's chat.
Well, and it's not even, I mean, it is unintentional, and it's not like a bad intention. It's like, right. That's how the wife wants to connect, and the husband just can't. But I want to address the first part of the thing. So it says, so my question more broadly is, what is the balance of letting go of the past versus being shown that someone's behavior is changing? So I don't think there is a balance. That sounds really weird. But it's like saying, what's the balance of looking backwards while I'm driving forwards? Like, you don't need to look backwards. I mean, you can, like, every once in a while barely glance backwards if you're driving forwards. But if you're on 405 going 70, so please do not look in the back.
405 is a freeway. So are you talking about her wanting to adjust the past? Because you have to...
But no, just let me
from the past.
Yeah, let me get what I'm saying. Is there's a couple things here, because you mentioned the ADHD part, and that has been a huge part of our marriage. Like, not like it's not something we talked about when we first got married, but you were on ADHD meds when I met you, weren't you?
Yeah, just for like college and stuff, just for writing papers, not like all the time.
Yeah, well, I don't care for what.
Okay.
You were on them and I didn't know. Right? We had zero conversation about the implication of that, what it meant, why it mattered. And I, like every other human out there, thought, oh, ADHD, that's like kids who can't shut up and they bounce everywhere and they're annoying, right? That's what I thought ADD was.
There's so many instances of adult ADHD.
Yeah, because we don't know, we often have no concept of what ADD really looks like in children and then in adults. Like, I thought it was something totally different than it is. And so when we joined into our relationship, I had no idea that you couldn't self-soothe. And I would be so irritated just because I'm different from you. And it's like totally family of origin. Like, why are you drinking beer again? Why are you eating ice cream right now? You had a pint yesterday. Like, could you stop? Like, but not realizing that is directly related to the ADHD part of things, which is directly related to your ability to be present with me in things you don't like, right? Cleaning, taking dishes out, washing dishes, trash. Taking trash out, changing diapers, anything like that. It was like this weird struggle. And so why I'm saying that and why this is directly related to the first part of the question is that once I had the sort of awareness, and this was a long process. Gaining the awareness of that was a very long process. I'm talking years and years, like 10 years. Once I understood your mind more complexly, and that ADHD was a part of that mind, and that your attachment style was a part of that mind, your family of origin was a part of that mind, I could look at our past with a completely different set of eyes. I wasn't looking for, and this kind of goes to another thing in the women's group. Someone asked, do you burn your journals? Yes, I burnt my journals from when I was, when I journaled about all the crappy stuff we had gone through, because when I would read them again, it was like all the feelings came back, all the sadness, all of the like, I can't believe that happened. And you know what I need to do? Forget that ish, it's done.
So let me therapy. So this is, okay, it's just not in therapy. Sorry, I'm just like
ADD
all over the place.
Let me therapy. So
right,
but this no.
Right. So burning your journal, that sounds severe at first. Like, oh, okay, you're a weirdo, right, or whatever. However, there are things like rituals, like an actual act of like going to this and going to that, right? So burning something, what?
Going to this and going to that. No one knows
Going
what
from
you mean.
something like, okay, having a journal and having all these things in there, and then like, okay, the act of burning it, it's kind of like you could call it a ritual or a ceremony, or I can't remember the other term, the therapy term of it, but it is a very poignant and
It's a statement.
It's a statement, right? So like, yes, I wrote all this stuff down, I got it, and that is no longer a part of me.
It's like getting baptized. It's like getting married. It's a statement. It's a proclamation.
Right.
I am doing this thing. I am choosing
Right.
to not let these feelings re-enter my body. Because that's what would happen when I would read my journal. So why, and I'm not trying to cut you off, but you said we got to go quick today.
Yep.
So one of the reasons I brought all of that up is that you cannot look into your past and think that re-feeling those feelings is going to be helpful. It actually won't. It's probably going to be harmful. And that doesn't mean that your past wasn't hurtful and that you're not bitter about it, but let's figure out how to put that bitterness to bed. Like it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Somebody says, I struggle. Well, somebody said, dang, Mel, that's so good. And somebody else said, I struggle with that. I hold grudges and almost sabotage my partner's progress when I hold those grudges, and it's almost never intentional. Melanie,
Yes.
speak to that, because you have done that.
I did that all the time. The second that Seth would, I mean, air quotes, do better. That sounds like the meanest thing to say ever. But the second that Seth would start to do the thing I wanted him to do, like 10 years of like, why didn't you do that before? Would just like Nerf blast gun your face. And then I'd be like, why? You're mad at me? Oh, let's talk about mad. Like it didn't make any sense. And that was only because I was looking at Seth through the lens of our history,
Right.
and not seeing like today's a new day.
So think about it as, and Christina, I think you have kids, so you would understand this. So the kid, was in second grade and made an F or something, like made a failing grade. And next year in third grade, the kid was aware of it. Okay, he's trying hard, all this stuff. And he's like, Mom, I brought home a B. And you're like, remember that F?
You idiot.
I
Yeah.
mean, and then the kid would be like,
Forget life.
forget it. Like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And like relationships with adults are the exact same
Yeah,
way.
this is a really good one. It says, we actually wrote down all the crap that happened to us last year and burned it in the campfire. The thing is, when you burn something, you can't pick it back up. Super powerful. Yes, I love that.
That's good. I love that ritual kind of like ceremony.
It's a declaration.
Yeah.
You're proclaiming, I'm doing this thing different. It's like, I mean,
I
it
wish-
really is.
Okay,
It's
so
like getting a tattoo.
yeah.
Get a tattoo of all the bad things you've done.
All right, that's good. So, okay, I'm going to read this one. Okay, mamas, I could use some advice. I'm assuming this is from the women's
It
group.
is.
Please be kind. I have a fresh, just like a few days ago, 11-year-old boy, and he is headed up to junior high once school starts. Today, he came home sad. He has tears streaming down his face. We have, I think, pretty open communication, but he's saying he is sad and feels confusing because he isn't sure why he's sad. So my question is this. Do I keep pressing him to why he's sad, or is this what to be expected with a prepubescent kiddo, or am I asking the right questions?
Go ahead.
I have something on
Okay.
this. So, okay. Mom and a son relationship is a very important relationship, right? The mom is there to nurture, and sure, dads can nurture, obviously, but a mom has a different skill set in that I think is, you just can't mess with, right? And so do dads, and it is what it is. It's your gift, it's my gift. So a mother-son relationship is really the softest. So the boy, as a male, is realizing maybe, oh, there's some changes coming up, So an adjustment time. So do not, well, I don't know your son, but if it was our kids, I'd be like, okay, you're not going to push and ask what, our son is thinking. Hey, what's up? What's going on? What's this? Why are you sad? Tell me why you're sad. You must be sad. Oh my gosh, right? You're not going to do that. You're going to say, buddy, I love you, and I'm here for you.
Yeah.
If you ever want to talk, I'm here. And then you can ask some open-ended question, not closed-end questions. Like closed-end questions. Tell me why you're sad. What's wrong? I see you crying. What's the deal? Those are closed and those are pressing, right? And going to make him that pursued distance or dynamic. That also works with other relationships, not just romantic ones. You're going to say open-ended questions like, oh my goodness, I noticed a couple of days ago that you were a little bit quiet, and that's okay. Sometimes I feel quiet too, and if you ever want to talk, we can have a scheduled talk at 7:30 at night. Every single time, if you just want to check in or let's go lay in bed together, I'll talk to you, kind of thing. So you're just going to be a soft landing place for him, and I would say that's also pretty normal because prepubescence, a lot of hormonal changes going on, and there's an adjustment change. Like I remember being sad for no reason, and our kids have said that too. Like, I just feel sad. And same thing. It's like, I just feel happy. Why are you happy? I don't know. I just feel
nobody
great.
questions that one.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple things I wanted to say about this one. The first thing is, and this just came to my mind as you were talking. Imagine that your son, instead of being your son, is your friend. And how would you address your friend? You would not be like, "Why are you crying?"
Right.
You need to tell me why you're crying, right? I mean, not that I'm saying you're doing that, but there's a different way that you kind of invite a conversation around sharing your emotions with a friend that you would not do with a kid, which is unfortunate because I shouldn't be that. I do that with our kids all the time. I don't mean to.
And me.
But one of the things too that's really important to note is that in this sort of developmental phase of childhood, when your kids are growing through puberty, I think their amygdala grows faster than their prefrontal cortex. Like the lizard brain, the freak out part of their brain is growing faster than the part of the brain that tells them to calm down.
Right.
And so there is often like the emotions outweigh the cognitive. And I remember being that way too. I remember being in middle school and like sobbing under a table in orchestra. Because I was afraid of something. I had like the most amount of anxiety.
The violin scared you?
But there was nothing going on, and I'd never had it before. And I was just like going, "Oh, something bad's gonna happen."
Right.
And I was like, "I don't know." And my teacher was like, "Whatever, have fun." But you have a community of mothers and women who support you in our Anatomy of Marriage Women's group. So I'm thankful that you wrote. I'm thankful that people have responded already, and I hope that helps. Like that, those are helpful tips. But also the thing I would say. Always let your child know that you are there for them, even if it's not in the moment that you're going to talk right now. So I would say something like this. If Mariner was doing this, or Tough, or whatever, I'd be like, "Hey, I see that you're upset. I'm so sorry something's bugging you. You know, I am always here. If you want to write something down and give me a letter, I will read it. I will never be mad at you. You can tell me everything. And if you'd like, we can go get ice cream. And even if we're not going to talk about the thing, we're just going to be together." It's the power of presence, right? So yeah.
Okay, we've gone 20 minutes and 45 seconds with an
Christina
eyelash
Rhodes,
on your face, and I can't stand it
freaking
anymore.
love the women's group. I'll get it off later.
Freaking love the women's group. Yeah, true. Okay, last question. My husband and I are trying to rebuild our relationship with his parents, my in-laws. There's quite a bit of bad history between us all, and the only way we can have a positive interaction with them is by being very fake and guarded, and even that is extremely strained. I do not know the appropriate way to respond to them when they upset me or cross a boundary. I have searched the internet for examples, but thus far I have found very little that I could imagine myself saying. I do not know how to maintain my boundaries or simply state my honest opinion, if it is different from theirs. I do not know how to be firm and kind. I am terrified of any side of conflict with them because it has been so volatile in the past. Unless everything is 99 to 100% their way, there is conflict, and we are constantly guilted over the 1% we try to stand on. Interesting. So maybe you're a 9 on the Enneagram, like I am. And what is your insight on this? I have a couple of thoughts.
Thank you for sharing the question. That's very tricky, and I think it's very common. The first thing I think, and this is going to sound maybe counterintuitive, is are you overly sensitive? That sounds almost dumb, but...
Well, it sounds like the husband is not... it sounds like that's not the case because the husband is in agreement with how things are.
But I'm not saying that. Your in-laws might honestly be like, everything's fine. And you might honestly be like, everything's terrible. We have problems. I mean, I have no idea. There's not enough context.
Yeah.
But I want to throw out that option that you might be reading into things that don't need to be read into. And here's the thing, like with an in-law relationship, I am never, ever, ever, ever going to change my in-laws. I'm never going to change how Seth's parents are.
Right.
And
you shouldn't.
I shouldn't. No, I definitely shouldn't. I used to think that for some reason as a wife, that was something I should do, which is dumb and terrible and puts you in a terrible position.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the first thing I would start with is, 1, you don't need to change them. 2, it's not your job to change them. 3, they might not think anything is wrong. And yes, people can live that way. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not going to happen like that. Right? And so I would really examine what are the things that are wrong, in air quotes. What is the conflict? What is the problem? And how can you look at it with new eyes before you do anything? Right? Before we call anybody, talk to anybody, rebuild, whatever. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I'm not sure of the degree of volatility here. But yeah, I think I like what you were saying.
I mean, imagine what you think of as volatile and what I think of as volatile.
Right.
It's totally different. Seth would be like, your mom said something. that I didn't like volatile.
Right.
And I'd be like, she doesn't care. She says that to everybody.
Yeah.
So
I think that the main thing that I would very highly suggest, that's a weird sentence, I would very highly suggest is you and your spouse be on the same page, right? And go in like, okay, it's you and me, and we're here, so we're going to talk about everything. We're going to have very clear communication, and we're going to go in it with like, okay, we don't need to change them, we can't change them, and we shouldn't want to change them. Mm-hmm. So I can be differentiated in that relationship with them, because maybe they are crazy, and maybe they're way less crazy than you think. You're just being overly sensitive. Mm-hmm. I don't know. So what are your boundaries? And if they break those boundaries, then okay. Well, are you gonna continue to be we receive what we allow to happen? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You wrote we accept what we permit or something.
Yeah.
Well, the reason that I brought that up is it says I don't know the appropriate way to respond to them when they upset me. That's a very powerful statement. Mm-hmm. That says that you get upset easily, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm one of those people too. But there's something to be said about that statement. I don't know how to respond when you upset me. Maybe you need to get upset less.
Right.
And I'm not trying to be weird. And that is a skill that takes time.
Asking the question rhetorically, like, what would it look like if you got upset less?
And getting upset is super fun. It's super lizard brain. It's like when our neighbor storms out of her door and like is cussing a blue streak about Becky. You know, I mean, it's like lizard. It's like so lizard brain.
Lisa and Becky,
and she like loves to complain about Becky, right? And it's easy. We know it. It's comfortable. It's fun. It feels good. It's like exciting. It's life. But it's not life giving, and it's not great. And if you have a sentence that says, "I don't know how to respond when they upset me," you're giving your power away.
That's right.
Stop getting so upset. And I don't have the context for this.
Yeah,
your in-laws may be terrible, and I might be way, 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 way off.
Yeah.
So forgive me if that's the case. But we super need to wrap up.
All right.
But before we wrap up, there's some things I want to talk about.
All right.
I hope that you are okay with that.
Can I sign off now?
You can sign off? Why?
All right. Because we have a call, and I got to get ready for it. So.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. We'll do all that stuff later. All right. Thank you for joining us. We are in a hurry. We'll see you, Cody. And have an amazing day.
All right.
You got this.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Pre-show. Thanks for hanging out. We love it.
We got to hang up like right now.
Yeah, we got to hang up. So catch you tomorrow, Thursday. And all right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.